this lens makes me look like I have a giant head.
Filming yourself sucks when you don't have a camera that has autofocus, or at least really terrible autofocus. As you can see, my microphone, actually, let me show you that I actually have one. 1 second. This thing right here, this Rode NTG2, still not fixed, so great. This is just going to be a quick video for you guys. It's going to be a review of the newest Tomb Raider movie. I do movie reviews every once in a while on this challenge, usually only when it revolves around geek stuff, like sci-fi, horror, superhero, all that good stuff. And obviously this is a video game movie. Now, as you know, video game movies have not had a good track record. That's putting it lightly. I tried balancing my phone on my camera, so you know what? Maybe this can look a little more professional. What's the best video game movie? Probably the first Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie. Back on the PS1, I remember playing the first Tomb Raider game. I've actually have not played the 2013 reboot, which is what this movie is based off of, but I heard it's a great game. The newest movie is directed by Raoul Uthaug. He's a Swedish director, as you can clearly tell by his name. He did The Wave, which I heard is a good action thriller disaster movie, which I haven't seen. This also stars Alicia Vikander and Walton Goggins, among other people. You know, I've heard a lot of middle-of-the-road press when it came to this movie. I've heard a lot of it's mediocre, it's middle-of-the-road, it's this. Chris Stuckman gave it a B-, which isn't bad. Jeremy Johns said, better time if you're drunk, double toasted, it was rentals all around the table. Alright. 100% honest with you guys. I don't know if it was because of the super low expectations I had walking into this movie. I really thought it was gonna suck. I had a great time. The action was good, the characters had a lot more depth than they really needed to have. You can argue that some of the characters, although they had more layers to them, they were just sort of thrown in there, like they weren't really thought of or developed layers. They were just layers like, oh, he's got 2 daughters, or oh, whatever, let's humanize him a little bit. But hey, when it comes to a video game movie, at least there's some depth there. Because when it comes to video game movies, like I said, we have gotten terrible things. And honestly, I can definitively say, in my opinion, this is the best video game movie ever. And I know that's not saying a lot. And it's not the best movie ever made, but it's a fun movie. Here's the problem I think a lot of people have nowadays, and I'm seeing this now a lot in our culture when it comes to movies and movie making. There's no such thing as a movie being okay or just good anymore. It's either a life-changing event or it's terrible. There's no middle ground anymore when it comes to movies. It's so black and white. Not every movie has to be life-changing. Not every movie has to be the best thing ever made. Now, of course, that'd be great if every movie was like that, but that's not the way it is. I love Citizen Kane, but you know what else I love? Captain America: The First Avenger. This movie, it's fun, it's action. I know a lot of people said they were bored. I was never bored. And this was a good film. I enjoyed myself. Is it groundbreaking? No. Is it pretty stock? Maybe. Is it run by numbers? Yeah. But you know what? It's fun. And I liked it. And considering this is a video game movie, this is the best we've gotten so far. Obviously, we still need to really push the genre over the edge into greatness, but you know what? This will suffice for now. This is a step in the right direction, and I liked it. The thing about this movie that I think is really fantastic, you could tell that the filmmakers were trying to pay respect to the game. The set pieces, like the set piece on the boat, or another set piece like the one with the plane, those are like cutscenes that are straight out of the game. You can tell that the filmmakers really wanted to pay tribute to the game. And by the game, I'm talking about the 2013 reboot, which is where most of the influence of this new film comes from. There are a few properties where this happens to, where you get a film made about a certain property, made by people who don't know anything about said property. This is happening in video game movies, anime movies, and all that stuff. This is not a video game, but Aeon Flux. I'm not sure what Aeon Flux is. I think it's an anime series. I don't really know. I don't watch anime. But I remember the creators of that movie said, oh, they never watched an episode in their life. They just made the movie. And then obviously What? Alicia Vikander is fantastic. She brings a lot of depth, a lot of emotion to this character. She's a great actress. She was great in Ex Machina, and she's great in this movie. Walton Goggins is a lot more subdued than his previous performances. He's usually the crazy guy. This one, he's a lot more subdued, and I welcomed that from him. This was a great departure for him, and I liked it a lot. Were there some things I wish they did better? Yes. And we're going to get into those now. I don't have a lot of complaints about the movie, but there are a few nitpicks. One thing is the game is really gritty. And there's a part of me that wishes that they sort of kept with that same grimness in the movie. But again, that's just a very, very subtle nitpick. They wanted to go PG-13 to appeal to more people. That's fine. Another thing, I think one of the biggest drawbacks for this film is its lack of creative cinematography. I found the cinematography very stock, and a lot of people thought the movie was very stock and very generic. I mean, when I saw the trailer, I was like, this looks like the most generic looking thing ever, and I think a lot of that has to do with the cinematography. It's very generic. There really isn't anything eye-catchy. Everything's pretty standard and stock. I think if they boosted the cinematography to be a little bit more creative, I think it could have taken this film next level, personally. And then, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's a certain reveal that happens in the movie where I think it could have been less abrupt. They could have spent more time with this reveal and did it in a little bit more of a graceful way. And I honestly think that the cinematography, because it was a little bland, is the reason why that twist, or whatever you want to call it, didn't have as much of an impact as I would have liked. Another thing I think would have benefited the movie is a resolution for one character who sort of just dropped off. He's sort of just abandoned. You never really find out what happens to him. I think a small scene, I feel like it was a deleted scene somewhere, where it kind of wraps up his character's story arc. He's sort of just abandoned, but again, this is a nitpick. It's not like I was like, oh, what happened to that guy? You know, it's just a small little thing I think would have benefited the film. Overall, it was a fun film. One thing I loved about this film is I was really wondering going into this film, how are they going to handle the supernatural element? In the early Lara Croft games, there was always a supernatural aspect. You know, I think Indiana Jones sort of started that whole thing. But the movie was very gritty, very real, and I'm like, how are they going to balance the supernatural thing? Like, is it going to be supernatural? I wasn't sure. And they did it in a way that I personally really enjoyed it. I know a lot of other critics said that it was unbelievable or it was just something they didn't buy. I bought it because I was expecting it. I wasn't expecting this crazy CGI like monster to appear, and if you see the film, you know what I'm talking about. Like, if that happened, then I would have been really taken out of the film. So I don't know exactly what they wanted. I think it was a good balance of both supernatural and natural. I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10, maybe an 8 out of 10. You know what? Screw it, 8 out of 10, just to prove you critics that a movie can be good. It doesn't have to be groundbreaking, it doesn't have to be life-changing, and it doesn't have to be terrible or the worst thing on earth. There's something in the middle ground. There's something called enjoyable, good, harmless fun. So have a good St. Patrick's Day, and peace.